Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Reverend Spann to approve the agenda. All of those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Now entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the workshop of April 4th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Ms. Conder. All in favor of approving the minutes for the workshop on April 4th, 2017, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion passes. We'll now move on to the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on April 4th, 2017. Is there a motion?
Made the motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Wright. All in favor of approving the minutes for the regular meeting of April 4th, 2017, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We'll now move on to Agenda Item 2A, the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for March 2017 and the Head Start Credit Card Report for March 2017. Is there a motion?
I make the motion, Madam Chairman.
A second.
There's a motion by Ms. Ramsey, a second by there's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey. And the motion is to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for March 2017 and the Head Start Credit Card Report for March 2017. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. We'll now move on to Legacy Builders and Special Recognition. Dr. Porter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Jackson. We have a number of impressive recognitions this evening, and we'll begin with a senior from Berkeley School of the Arts, a magnet program housed at Goose Creek High School, to introduce us to a quite accomplished and now, as I understand it, a published literary student. Please welcome his creative writing teacher, Mr. Nick Geary.
Good evening, everyone. I know that I'm supposed to be fun. I'm pretty much a bore, so instead you're just going to have to settle for me talking really enthusiastically about one of my students, which I love to do. Jameson is a senior BCA, Berkeley Center for the Arts, creative writing major at Goose Creek High School, and has had one heck of a year. In the time that we nominated him for a Legacy Award, he's added to the list, and so I want to make sure that I talk to you a little bit about that. Jameson started the year off with a bang by being published in the Best Teen Writing of 2016, which is a national anthology of teenage writers across the country, which was an amazing, accomplishment, and that would have been a great accomplishment for a high school student to have. Didn't stop there. A couple months later, Jameson found out that he is going to be the very first high school student in the history of the Missouri Review Literary Arts magazine, a nationally ranked literary arts magazine. He's going to be the very first high school student published in that magazine with a creative nonfiction memoir that he wrote. When he had to send in his bio to the editors, they wrote back and said, "Excuse me, you're in high school?" They've been around since 1977. And to have a student from Berkeley County and Goose Creek High School and BCA, to be the one to be the first is something I think we can all celebrate and appreciate, and it's an amazing accomplishment, really. It's incredible of all the years it's been around. Didn't stop there. That would have made an amazing year for Jameson. Next up, we have the National Scholastic Art and Writing Awards that we love to participate in. Over 330,000 students nationwide participate in this competition. And Jameson received a National Gold Key Award, which, if you're not familiar with this award, less than 1% of those who submit are deemed, with this great distinction. That was wonderful. Didn't stop there. He was also awarded by the National Scholastic Art and Awards Best in Grade, which means of all of the students who submitted nationwide, he received the best overall memoir of anyone who submitted. So, again, that's an incredible accomplishment. He's been invited to attend the award ceremony in Carnegie Hall in New York City this summer. Just unreal. It doesn't stop there. So Jameson decides I'm not satisfied. I'm going to keep going, and applies, not just to any creative writing summer workshop. He applies to the University of Iowa's creative writing workshop, and if anybody isn't familiar with that, it's the #1 ranked MFA creative writing program in the country, year in, year out. He applied. Only 72 students. It's high school students and college freshmen that apply into this program, and he was one of 72 students in the country to be accepted into this program. He'll spend 2 weeks on campus with some amazing individuals in residence there at University of Iowa, and it's just been a heck of a year. He's on scholarship. He'll be attending Warren Wilson College in Asheville as a creative writing major. Literary track, and we couldn't be more proud, and I hope you all are as well. It's been a heck of a year for him. So that's Jameson Rankin. Thank you so much.
Jameson, no pressure, but we expect a Pulitzer, okay? No pressure, though. All right. For next, we are looking at, have you ever met anyone that won a worldwide art competition? Tonight's your chance. A Cane Bay High School junior was recently chosen for his, quote, unique and artistic vision. To paint us all a picture of this wonderful achievement is Cane Bay High School's world-renowned art teacher, Miss Barbara Richardson.
Hello. So it was really difficult to decide where to start. After Jamal's freshman year with me, he was bumped up straight into our college art program, the AP art class, where he scored a perfect score, a 5. We were trying to figure out how many awards and how much money he's actually won since he's been in art at Cane Bay. So we figure somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000. He has won first place in home telecom 2 years in a row. The cover, the first year, and that's $1,000 each time. And then this year, he won second place and $500. He's also been the recipient of Scholastic Gold Keys. He won 2 gold keys and a silver key last year. The list just goes on and on. He wins all of the top awards. If you've been to the Coastal Carolina Fair and you've looked at the artwork, you've seen Jamal's work with the giant rosette ribbons. this year, he decided that he wanted to attend the Summer Institute at SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design. That's what he plans to major in illustration. So he applied for their SCAD challenge. He did a fabulous colored pencil, Prisma pencil, self-portrait, like he always does. And this was, I didn't really want him to get his hopes up. We've had lots of students enter the SCAD challenge before. No one has ever come close to winning. So this year, he won first place out of every applicant around the world. So, Jamal Monroe.
He paints, he doesn't talk. I get it, okay. Okay, next up, Goose Creek High School's Winter Guard recently won state honors at the Indoor Ensemble Championships. This talented group performed to the music of Jim Croce. Now, for those of a certain age, can you name a Jim Croce song? Raise your hand. I know, right? I'm not supposed to say Bad, Bad Leroy Brown, but you do remember Time in the Bottle. They did perform to that song. To present these incredible students this evening is Goose Creek's assistant principal, Miss LaTanya Butler, who got in here in the nick of time to make this presentation.
Good evening. I'm actually not going to introduce them. I'm going to let Ms. Collins, our phenomenal band director, as well as Mr. Arts, I'm going to let them introduce the group of students tonight. So, Ms. Collins?
Good evening. My name is Jenny Collins. I have a wonderful group of students, beautiful young ladies who have worked so hard all year. They started out in the fall with the Spirit of Gold Marching Band, and some of the girls continued. They were very dedicated. They continued on into the winter season. They have been spinning and working on perfecting their craft since July, and they went to the CWEA, Carolina Winter Ensemble Association circuit, and competed and got better each time. And then they went to the SCBDA, South Carolina Band Director Association State Championship, and won the first place and gold medal. So when these young ladies would like to come up, you can see their medals. I'd like to introduce them to you. Miss Shaughnessy Milligan, come on up when I call your name. Crystal Pryor. Luzari Cologne. Aaliyah McCrae. Jair Backman. Kiana Smith. Miss Rachel Krause. Miss Caitlin Dingle. Miss Jasmine Daniel. Also, some girls that are not able to be here with us tonight are sisters Imani and Maisha Myers and Emily Wallace. We would like to thank Mr. Husky for giving us a place to rehearse and space to develop our craft and our art. We'd like to thank Ms. Butler for working so hard and making sure that the girls have everything they need. And I also want to introduce to you Mr. Josh Arts, Assistant Director, who worked sound and took care of a lot of things for them. We're very proud of them. Thank you for this honor. Family friendly. Might need a third row.
Make sure everybody sees you.
Congratulations, ladies. Many times over these gatherings, we've sang the praises of our incredible educators. Last week, Mr. Jackson helped pass a torch from our outgoing District Teacher of the Year to our 2017 winner, Mr. Nick Snyder, a teacher at Cane Bay High School. To present Mr. Snyder this evening to everyone here, please warmly welcome our 2016 Berkeley County District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Sharon Blackwood.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Jackson, Madam Chair, and members of the board. I am so excited because last year at this time, Amanda Cromer stood up here and she introduced me, and I'm able to continue the tradition by introducing our 2017 District Teacher of the Year. Nicholas was born in West Virginia, but he moved to South Carolina in 2007 with his wife after several vacations to the Charleston area. He graduated from Concord University with a bachelor's in literature and composition. He earned his master's in educational leadership with a focus on secondary administration from the Citadel, and he's been teaching for 10 years. He taught 8 years in Charleston County at Lang Middle School of Science and Technology, but since his growing family was here in Berkeley County, he decided to make the switch to Berkeley County, and for the past 2 years, he has taught at Cane Bay High School. He appreciates this district, both as a teacher and as a parent. He and his wife have been married for 12 years, and they have 3 wonderful children. Jack, who is 8, Nate, who is 5, both attend Devon Forest Elementary, and Claire, who is 2. Nicholas currently teaches college prep and honors level English to 9th and 10th graders, but he uses his leadership skills as a teacher mentor for Citadel cadets aspiring to become teachers, something that he has found to be most rewarding. Outside of school, he and his family are active members of their Northwoods Community Church, which provides multiple opportunities for them to work a variety of community outreach programs. He believes that there are 3 main factors that contributed to him becoming a teacher: his faith, his family, and his former teachers. He says that becoming a teacher was simply a gradual understanding revealed to him over the course of several years and several events. Some may call it divine coincidence, but he calls it divine appointment. He hopes that his students would say, "Now that Mr. Snyder, he really gave us time, and he gave his absolute best every single day." It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Nicholas Snyder.
You got to attend the breakfast. I got a little carried away and started typing. I kind of joked. I said, "Don't tell an English teacher to prepare words if they have to give a speech, because they get a little carried away sometimes." So I ended up with about 1,500 words that I shared, but I've narrowed it down to about 150 tonight. So this will be quick. I'll save you some time. Madam Chair, Mr. Jackson, and members of the board, it's a true honor to be selected as the BCSD Teacher of the Year. I have felt a calling for this profession for many years, and I really grew up in and around education. My great-grandfather was a school principal. My grandfather was a teacher and coach. My mother is a nursing instructor at a university in West Virginia. So I was around education my entire life, of course, as a student as well. And in a way, I think it's just at the core of who I am. It's really woven into every fiber of my being, and teaching gives me a purpose, and I spoke about this at the breakfast a little bit. Purpose is something that so many people spend a large part of their lives, sometimes their entire lives, trying to discover. And I'm lucky enough to have found that within this profession, and I've felt it from day one of being in the classroom, even though that first year was a little bit rough at times. But luckily, there's a learning curve. There's something about stepping into the classroom each day, knowing that it's a new day, knowing that there's going to be challenges, that there's inspiration to be given, and imaginations to be challenged, unknown talents and abilities to be unlocked. It's truly a calling, and I've loved it all 10 years. I mean, even in the good days, the bad days, it doesn't matter. So it's my goal to serve the district with characteristics I discussed during my acceptance speech at Trident Tech, and those things highlighted on perseverance, hope, optimism, and maybe even a little bit of inspiration along the way. And I consider myself honored and humbled to be in this position, and it's a position I will take on with great sincerity and a commitment to doing the best that I can for the teachers and the students. So I thank you very much.
It's always a true pleasure to get to honor all of the hardworking people and students in Berkeley County. Very excited for Mr. Snyder to have a place at the table. The teacher forum place at the table is so valuable to this board. So thank you for making the commitment to sit here the long nights with us. We appreciate it. Also want to just thank and acknowledge all the teachers who have influenced these students to be at the best and the top of arts, science, math, dance, whatever we take on in Berkeley County. Every meeting there are kids that are at the top, statewide, nationwide. It's very exciting. So thank you so much. If you came for a special recognition and you don't want to sit through the rest of this board meeting, we will not be offended. Now is a good time for you to get to go and enjoy your family and your accomplishment. Thank you so much. We'll now move on to citizen comments. First, I'm going to start by reading the procedures. In order to conduct this meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Sorry, it's draining down the back of my throat. Ugh. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. There are several public comments that have a title that does not adhere to the guidelines. When it comes your turn, you can decide if you want to speak on another topic or if you would like to submit your comments in writing to be heard in executive session. But first, we'll start with Robin Berlinski, Engaging Creative Minds in Berkeley County.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Jackson, and members of the board. My name is Robin Berlinski. I'm the Executive Director of Engaging Creative Minds. I'm a former teacher. In fact, my first job was teaching first grade at Cainhoy Elementary a very, very long time ago. I won't tell you when. And I'm here with Robin Boston, who's a former Berkeley County art teacher for 34 years. And we stole her away, and she's now a curriculum coach with us. And my friend Adra Shaw, who's now the principal at my old school, Cainhoy Elementary, obviously not there when I was there. Since 2013, we've been supporting arts integration, professional development in Charleston County schools. But last year, we partnered with 6 of your schools, serving a little over 3,000 students and teachers in Merrington Middle, Bonner Elementary, Daniel Island School, Cainhoy Elementary, Whitesville Elementary, and Howhall Ames. The schools provided the partial funding for this pilot year cost totaling $45,000, and then we secured the rest, approximately $175,000, in grants and proceeds from the Charleston Marathon, which is our annual fundraiser. If you're a runner, please run. Next year, we're expanding into Dorchester District 2, so it's really exciting. Our nonprofit is gaining state and national recognition. We won the 2016 New York Life Excellence in Summer Learning Award from the National Summer Learning Association for our Summer STEAM Institute, which prevents summer learning loss. And we were finalists for the 2016 Dick and Tunky Riley What Works SC. Engaging Creative Minds partners with school districts to support innovative, high-quality teaching and learning, and our curriculum coaches work directly with teachers and principals to identify academic standards that might be challenging to teach or tough for kids to understand. And then we partner with local artists, cultural organizations, and STEM professionals in your community to create highly engaging arts-integrated lessons. We have a lot of evaluation results on our website done by an external evaluator that we'd love you to check out to see the amazing results. And we just wanted to let you know tonight that we would be honored to continue working in your schools. We would love the opportunity to talk with you to explain more about our arts integration and STEAM model and professional development for your district to become a true tri-county initiative. Thank you so much.
Up next, we have Ms. Rebecca Kimmel, who's going to speak on legal counsel, taxpayer funds.
Good evening. I just want to start by saying that I am a Berkeley County taxpayer. I would also like to add that in all of my years, and I'm 54 years old, I have never seen such corruption in the school district. It has come to light in the past several months, and in my opinion, it continues to this day. I would like to ask you board members why, just why it is that with all the problems that this district has, facing legalities, the FBI investigations, the media coverage, everything that's going on in this district, why you would want to bring on more negative attention and costly lawsuits that we as citizens are going to ultimately pay for. I have paid a high dollar attorney the retainer fee. My attorney has consistently tried to get a name and a phone number of your legal counsel so they can sit down and talk about things as adults. However, your HR director, Dr. Levine, has stated that we're not allowed to have that information. If we want that information, either us or our attorney, then we need to bring suit against the district. So my question to you, and this makes no sense to me, but my question to you is, why would you want yet another lawsuit brought against this school district? We are taxpayers. If we bring suit, we are going to have to pay not just our attorney we've already paid a retainer fee for, but we're going to be paying for your attorney fees as well through our taxpayer money. All we've asked for is the name of your legal counsel, but Dr. Levine has stated to bring suit. So if that's what you want, we are prepared to proceed. And that's all I've got to say.
We have two interim general counsels, Joshua Whitley and Brandon Gaskins. Brandon Gaskins is our employment counsel, and he is with Moore Van Allen in downtown Charleston. Also, Joshua Whitley is present, and he's with Smythe Whitley.
Would that be Karen Whitley's son?
We have two interim counsels. You ask for information. We don't normally respond. I'm trying to give you information. The next person is Sarah Crisp. Sarah, what you have put as your nature of your concern is not something that we can hear in regular session. We do value your feedback. If you would like to speak on another topic that doesn't have an employee's name in it, you're welcome to speak. Or you can submit comments about the employee directly to the superintendent. Would you like to speak?
I would like to speak on
Yes, it's not proper to hear employment matters or employee information. Okay, yes, you can absolutely speak on policies, procedures, executive level employees of the district, not teachers or students that aren't your own. Ms. Sarah Crisp, thank you.
Thank you. We're a little new to this, so we're kind of trying to navigate the best we can. We're not really sure of the policies and procedures of coming to a board meeting and speaking, so bear with us a little bit. So the procedural, I will change my subject then so I can at least speak on what we're confused about. Would like to get some information possibly as how the district handles when a teacher is removed from a classroom and the communication or lack thereof to the parents of students in those classrooms and how that is handled. We feel that there has been an instance where it has not been handled properly. There has been lots of lack of communication for multiple parents, not just on my own. And as far as what is done when a teacher is removed and no acceptable sub is placed in that classroom, and is it normal policy to split an entire classroom among other classes for the remainder of a school year, which is overpopulating those other classrooms. That is a general concern for us. There are now 28 plus children, so we're just confused. Is that a normal policy or procedure when a teacher is removed? And is it common that a teacher is removed this close to the end of a school year, and especially during state testing, which is an extremely important time for these students to have their normal teacher in their classroom. So there are lots of us that have just comments and questions and concerns as parents of these students who are lost and confused, and we are lost and confused as to what is normal for the district and how they handle that. So we would like some more guidance, some more communication, because we haven't received as much as we should have. And that's all I have to say.
Up next, Mr. Whitlock, I would offer you an opportunity to speak about your student or policies or procedures, if you'd like to come to the podium.
I'm agreeing with her. It's the same.
I'll say please come to the podium. So,
I thought I was still in school.
yes, no, sir. Feel free to talk about your child.
I'm just like her. I'm gonna just make my comments later, if we have to make them later. I just don't understand that, and, parents and teachers always worked together when I grew up. And I like that. I love, all teachers, but there's, specific teachers get to specific things, and like I can only speak from my son, going from a C and D to an A to B. I give all that credit to one, to a teacher and the staff and all that. And I just don't like this, what's going on and all that. So I'll just leave it as that, and I agree with this woman. It's not right. And I mean, there's too much meanness in it too. And I've seen it. That's why I'm here today. And could you understand what I'm trying to do? I'm just a concerned parent, but I see something that I don't think's right. And I'll just leave it as that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bree Barrett, I would offer you the same opportunity to come to the podium and speak about policies, procedures, or your child.
So basically piggybacking off of that, my son went to, am I allowed to say the school's name? I'm not sure, but whatever. Went to that school the previous year. Horrible experience. I pulled him out, put him in private school. My ex-husband quit paying his half. I could no longer afford it, so put him back into Whitesville. And I was a nervous wreck sending him back there. And he was upset he didn't want to go. The first day he came home, he was so happy because of that teacher. And his grades were so good. And now he calls that Friday the worst day of his life. He is not eating. He's not doing schoolwork. He doesn't like his class. I mean, I'm thanking God that he got into the charter school next year, because I will never, granted he's my last one in elementary, I will never send another kid back to Whitesville again. And I've got 3 other kids in Berkeley County, and I am trying to move to another district because of the way that this was handled. There's no answers. We don't know why this happened, especially during testing. That's what's really, really upsetting me is, I mean, if he fails these tests, that's it for the year from my understanding. And I just don't like the way things were handled, and I want answers. So I guess that's it. It's just very upsetting, and we all want answers. Especially if it's not anything I don't know if I can talk on that, but we just want answers. That's pretty much it. So that's all I got.
If any of you would like to submit additional specific information to Mr. Jackson in writing, we will hear that in executive session. There are no other citizen comments. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, Administration and Facilities, the second and final reading of the 2018-2019 instructional calendar. Mr. Jackson, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. As Ms. Walford said, we're coming tonight for the second reading of the 2018-2019 instructional calendar. The calendar has been posted now for approximately a month. There have been no changes or modifications made to the calendar since first reading. And noticeably missing are the late arrival and early dismissal days, which we discussed. A proposal will be coming forward to the board the second meeting in May. With that, the administration asked for approval for the second and final reading of the 2018-19 instructional calendar.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of the 2018-2019 instructional calendar as presented.
I'll second. There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Ms. Lee. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the second and final reading of the 2018-2019 instructional calendar, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion passes. Up next, we'll move on to financial services. Agenda item 6A.
Madam Chair, Superintendent Jackson, and ladies and gentlemen of the board, you have before you information for bid number 509-1617 for the Berkeley High School Stadium bleacher replacement. This project will remove and replace all the existing seating, decking, fencing, and railing on the home side of the Berkeley High School football stadium, as well as minor repairs to the foundation work, which was recommended by a structural engineer. The current stadium bleachers were likely completed in 2004 based upon the as-built documentation and is in desperate need of replacement. This project will also address the riser height of the walkways and bring it to current code, as well as other safety issues with the current fencing. If this award is approved, work will begin as soon as possible and will be completed by August 1st in time for the first home football game on August 18th. This vendor has performed previous projects at Berkeley Middle as well as Daniel Island School. They have the ability to provide the licensing, insurance, and bonding requirements to perform this project. And we ask your approval to award this project to Brantley Construction Company, LLC, for a total project cost of $586,000.
I make a motion that we accept the administration's recommendation to approve the award for IFB 509-1617 for Berkeley High School Stadium bleacher replacement to Brantley Construction Company for a total cost of $586,000.
I second.
Motion is by Walford, second is by Ramsey. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Beer.
This is capital improvement or capital project? Is the funding through the capital improvement funding or through the referendum funding?
It is through capital projects.
Okay, and could you expound on the amount of money that was allowed in total
Yes,
for
sir.
the entire district? And what other projects were all areas of the county allowed to ask for? And could you give us an update if other areas of the county received like funding for other projects?
I don't have that information with me, that type of detail, but I can definitely get that to you by the end of the week.
As far as the exact dollar amount, right offhand, I don't believe there are any other projects that were approved that reached that same total. However, in this particular situation, we're dealing with a stadium in which our maintenance department has gone out over the past few years prior to the football season to try to shore up the facility and trying to make sure it's safe, in addition to trying to make it meet the ADA requirements. So it's getting to a point to where I've seen where the administration at the high school had to section off portions of the stadium because it wasn't safe to be seated or walk through. So it's getting to a point where it will become irreparable, and the replacement is needed.
So it's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue, yes, sir.
I understand. And but other areas of the county, this is state money? Is this state capital improvement money, funds?
Portions of it.
Okay, that answers my question, but it was a single bid. There was only one construction company that offered a bid?
Yes, sir. JMA Logistics and Services, they actually bid as a sub with Brantley Construction Company, LLC.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving IFB 509-1617 for the Berkeley High School Stadium bleacher replacement to Brantley Construction Company for a total cost of $586,000, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
7-1, the motion passes. We'll now move on to the quarterly financial report as of March 31st, 2017.
As you all know, the general fund budget was approved for $258 million back in June, and as of March 31st, the ideal remaining balance should be 25% on the revenues and the expenditures. Okay, general fund. As you can see, as far as general fund is concerned, we have received $196 million in revenues, with 24% left to receive. This makes up the $62 million that you're seeing that we still are expecting, makes up local tax revenue as well as fee in lieu of taxes. It also makes up a large portion of EFA funding and homestead exemptions. On the line item for revenue from federal sources, this represents impact aid and indirect cost transfers, so that number will go to zero once these transfers are finalized on June 30th. On the expenditure side, we have spent $172 million with 33% left to spend. We are a little over 25% because this is a fund that pays teachers and other staff throughout the summer months. But overall, this budget is in line and in a good financial state. On the special revenue side, this revenue consists of special ed, Title I, and all the special programs from the federal funds and state restricted funds. We've received 16.8 through March, Yes, we've received $16.8 million through March 31st, with 8% left to receive. Since federal grants are approved late in the year, we've received almost 100% of financing at this point. On the expenditure side, we've spent $16 million with 49% left to spend. The reason why that percentage is so high is because we expend first and then we file claims after the fact, and we've just filed claims through the end of March, this month in April. This budget is in line at this point in the year. On the special revenue EIA money, this is 100% state funding revenue that consists of the 1-cent sales tax increase that began back in 1984. As you can see, we've received $12.6 million with 25% left to receive. This is one of those revenues that we get equally every month. We get the same amount each month. On the expenditure side, we've spent $8.7 million with 36% left to spend. Again, this budget will be used to pay employees over the summer months. This budget is in line at this point in the year. On the capital project side, this fund consists of multi-year history of revenues and expenditures going back to 2012. It includes all the projects that were approved by the board concerning the bond referendum and equipment acquisition. I want to bring to your attention that we have changed the revenue amount. The last time I did this presentation, you saw the number $258 million as a multi-year budget. That number has been verified, and it should be $261 million. This includes both the bond sales for $100 million, and then the one for the equipment acquisition fund that was $52 million, and then the bond proceeds that went with that. So that's being accurately reflected at this point. We've received $163.7 million to date, with 37% left to spend.
Ms. Carlin, if I could interrupt you, so that $98 million, that's just our those haven't been issued yet.
Right.
So that's just our estimate at this point in time that we'll receive that revenue by year end.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then on the expenditure side, we spent year-to-date $155 million. We also have encumbered $43.8 million. And this includes, the encumbrances includes partial construction contracts for Phillips Simmons High, as well as Fox Bank Elementary, Bowens Corner Elementary, and the Berkeley Education Center, and other capital improvements that we have going on. And then food service, we've received $12.8 million to date, with 45% left to receive. And this is largely free and reduced federal revenue, as well as local revenue paid by students and teachers for breakfasts and lunches. And then on the expenditure side, year to date, we've spent $12.3 million with 34% left to spend. This is another fund that's going to pay employees through the summer months, as well as fund the summer feeding program. But at this point, the budget is in line and in a good financial state. I know I kind of went through that really quick, so do you have any questions?
Hearing any questions? None. Thank you, Ms. Carlin, so much for your continued effort. We appreciate it. Thank you. We'll move on to Agenda Item 7A, Instruction and Accountability, the 2017 Summer Programs. Dr. O'Gorman.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Westbury talk about our summer programs for 2017.
Thank you. You should have before you the information about summer programs. We do this every summer. Background is that it's been consistent. This year there is one change, and that's changing the date of summer programs. Because we end school on a Friday, we did not want to begin registration on a Monday for summer programs and have kids start in school. So we waited 1 week to start summer programs. That allows for middle school to have their attendance deficiency and get high school registration underway, and we're still in compliance with the number of days, and that's before our final exams are due. And there's no change in cost to students for the summer program.
So unless you have any questions, we would ask that you approve the summer programs, specifically the fees that you have on the forms that we've issued to you tonight.
I make a motion to approve the 2017 summer programs as submitted by administration.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Now, hear any questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the 2017 summer programs, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion passes. We'll now move on to the school renewal plan for Cross High School.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you recall, last board meeting, we brought all school renewal plans before you, with the exception of Cross High School, because you approved the AB schedule last board meeting. She revised her school renewal plan. It was reviewed by folks on my staff as well as another principal. We've given you access to that plan and ask that you approve it tonight.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the Cross High School renewal plan as submitted by administration.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Wright. Is there any discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Thank you.
We're going to move on now to the superintendent's report. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, board members, as you know, the district strategic plan is a requirement of the state. So it is our guiding document for the district. The plans are developed every 5 years, designed using research-based practices with a focus on increasing student achievement. So we recently completed our 5-year plan for 2016 through 2021. But tonight, Ms. Sandy Broussard will provide a strategic plan update for 2017-18.
Madam Chair, board members, and Mr. Jackson, thank you for the opportunity to share the update to the strategic plan. As Mr. Jackson shared with you, this is a part of the 5-year plan that was developed for 2016-17 through 2020-21. And you know, the concept of planning is certainly not a new one. Many of us have a plan for how we intend to spend every day, or at least a portion of it. We have a list of things that we know we need to do, and we might use an electronic to-do list, or some of us might use that trusted Post-it note process where we post the note on the steering wheel of our car or the dashboard to remind us of the important things that we need to do. But unlike our daily plans, a strategic plan focuses on the big picture. And it should be a dynamic document that guides our actions and that helps us as members of the community and as educators stay focused on the things that are really important. Without a strategic plan, we can find ourselves staying really busy, but doing things that won't have an impact. So the state legislation in 1993, as a part of the Early Child Development and Academic Assistance Act, amended requirements of the 1977 Education Finance Act, and the result of that was a mandate that each district and school develop a comprehensive 5-year plan with annual updates. Over time, the requirements of our state about what needs to be included in the plan, and in both the district strategic plan and in the school renewal plans that you have already approved, has changed from time to time, with one of the most important features being now an emphasis on having current research-based practices that increase student achievement. So tonight I want to talk with you just briefly about some of the legal requirements, and then I want to talk with you about the other side of that and why this strategic planning process is so important. Legally, we must provide a beginning plan at the beginning of a 5-year period. We have to have a plan that's submitted to the State Department of Education by April 30th. Our updates have to be submitted by April 30th each year as well. And I'm going to talk with you about a challenge associated with that date in just a moment. Our plans have to be approved by the board. So you have now approved all the school renewal plans. Our district strategic plan needs your approval as well. By law, we have to address 3 priority areas. We must say what we plan to do about student achievement, what we're going to do to improve teacher and administrator quality, and we must address school climate because we know the significant impact of school climate on instruction. And then we can address some other priority areas that are deemed to be important by the district. And you as a board have identified some areas, and we'll talk about our plan specifically in a moment. Required components of the plan, and by now you probably know these as well as some of us because you've seen so many plans, but you know that we are required by the state to have a cover page, table of contents. We have to show who's been involved in the development of the plan. If we need a waiver for anything, we have to request it during the time we are developing our plan. For example, sometimes we have critical teaching need, critical areas for which it's really difficult to find a teacher. And a decision may be made that it's in the best interest of students to have a certified teacher, even though that teacher may end up teaching an extra period during the day. But because of the requirements around how many periods a teacher can teach or how many minutes a teacher can teach during the week, we may have to request a waiver. We also have to provide certain assurances that we are meeting legal requirements. Additionally, we are required to complete a comprehensive needs assessment where we look at specific data that are outlined by the state relative to each organizational area, we have to look at those, at our data and decide whether our data tells us that we have a strength in that particular area or whether we have some needs or some weaknesses. Then we have to develop an executive summary, and that executive summary is what really helps us hone in on what our priorities need to be. From that, we develop performance goals, and the performance goals, sometimes if you look at the wording of those performance goals, you might say, boy, that seems like a really long way to say we need to focus on so-and-so. And that's because the state gives us guidance that says we have to write SMART goals, and the SMART goals have to be very specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be actionable, we have to be able to see results, and they have to be time specific. And then the interim performance goals just say what we're going to do every year of that 5-year period. What is going to be our target? If our goal over a 5-year period is to get to 100%, and right now we're at 50%, then what's our goal for the first year of the plan, the second year, the third year, the fourth year to get us there? And then this is a part that really becomes challenging because the action portion of the plan is our plan based on current research and best practices that tells us what action steps we're going to take in order to reach that broad goal. So we have to come up with strategies, actions, activities, a timeline, who's going to take the lead in being responsible, estimated costs, funding sources if we know what those funding sources will be, and the measures of success. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that April 30th is a challenge for us, and that's because this tells us that we need to have a timeline, we need to have the person responsible, the funding source, and the estimated cost. And essentially what the state is requiring us to do is to update our plan before we even know what funds we'll have available. For example, we don't have a district budget yet for next year. Some of the plans that will provide funding, hopefully, for some of the things that we see as priorities have not yet even been submitted to the state. And so, because the state doesn't have a timeline for them. And I thought to myself initially, I just thought, how ridiculous is that to ask us to come up with a plan before we know how much money we have to support it? As I've reflected on that, though, I actually think that's a very wise move because it causes us to think about what we see as the priorities. If money were not an object, what would we see as the areas that would give us the biggest bang for our buck? And so the action steps that you see in the district strategic plan, we recognize that after the budget for the district is approved, after we find out how much federal and state money we're going to get for next year, we may have to go back and make revisions. But keep in mind that the district strategic plan, like all of our school renewal plans, is a dynamic document. And if it doesn't reflect multiple iterations or multiple revisions, then we aren't really doing our job, because when we find any new current research, we need to consider that in making appropriate changes for our students. Now, you as a board identified some focus areas for us. The focus areas that were identified last year by the board were school climate, and of course this is one of the areas that's required by the state as well. Student achievement, another required area. Communications, and you identified that as a priority for our district. This becomes a district priority, not a state requirement. Teacher and administrator quality, which you put under the heading of human resources. And then you wisely identified fiscal responsibility as a priority area for our district as well. So under these areas, there are some broad performance goals. For example, under climate, we have organized that into 2 broad goals by 2021, spring 2021. sustain 100% of local, state, and federal safety requirements to provide a healthy, safe, and supportive learning environment. Additionally, you wanted us to develop and implement a plan to gain a positive survey rating from stakeholders in the areas of school maintenance, capital projects, and future capital projects from 78% in the spring of 2016 to 90% in the spring of 2021. In the area of student achievement, keeping in mind that development of a plan and updates to the plan is a process that should be revised, you'll see that there are some revisions in the area of student achievement. That's because we have now been informed of some of the areas that the state is going to be holding us accountable for. So in the past, for example, you didn't see anything related specifically to the credentialing of students, but we have that listed as a goal for this year. So looking at the student achievement goals, and there are 7, by 2021, SC Ready scores in English, reading, writing, and mathematics will meet or exceed the national, this should read the state norms for SC Ready in each grade level by subtest. And the reason it says national here is because at one point we were using ACT Aspire, which is a nationally normed test. So this has to be changed to reflect that we are now using a state test. By 2021, increase the percentage of students scoring met or above on past science and social studies from 75.85% to 84%. Increase the percentage of students passing the EOC exams from 80.4% to 86%. Increase the percentage of students, or ensure that the percentage of students who are ready for college coursework as determined by ACT performance will exceed the state percentage. And we've revised this a bit because last year, I believe your goal stated that it would be a score of 20, and now the state is telling us that they're looking at a composite score of 21. The next goal related to work keys is also a change. The state next year plans to look not just at the percentage of students who are scoring, who are qualified for or eligible for work key certification, but who have scored at the silver level. And so we have changed our goal to reflect that we have higher standards, and we're looking for more than that bronze level, which was the level that was accepted this past year. Increase the 4-year graduation rate from 83.8% to 88.8%. And then a new goal, increase the percentage of CATE completers with an industry credential from 26.9% last year to 50%. And this, as I said, is a completely new goal. In communications, partner with stakeholders to build advocacy for our students, families, schools, and district to promote transparency and to provide accurate information in an effort to increase stakeholder investment in student achievement to 100% by 2021. In other words, what Dr. Porter and his team are saying is that we want every voice to be heard. In human resources, Dr. Levine and her team have a goal of attracting, recruiting, developing, and retaining quality teachers to make sure that we have 100% of the positions filled. And in the area of fiscal responsibility, we looked at some specific SMART goals, things that were measurable, and developed some plans, some action steps around this. There were 5 actions in the previous district strategic plan, and we have expanded that this year in an effort to be sure that we are providing greater financial transparency to the public. So by 2021, increase the public's perception of financial transparency. The reason that doesn't have a from X percent to another percentage is because we currently don't have that information. So a survey would be one way that we could gain that information. Attain an overall unmodified audit opinion, positive bond rating, and adequate fund balance to ensure the financial stability of the district. continue to maintain at least 96% direct deposit or pay card enrollment of employees. This is an important goal because it stresses the need for efficiency, and the more efficient we can be in managing financial resources, the more successful we believe we can be. And then another one that deals with efficiency is reducing the number of purchase orders and accounts payable checks to the amounts that are reflected there. If you have specific questions about any part of the 5 focus areas or the action steps that you were provided earlier to review, there are people here this evening who have oversight responsibility who can address those questions. When I saw this graphic recently, as I was working on pulling this together and facilitating the discussion among all the stakeholders about what we would include and how we would update our plan, I thought about how difficult it is sometimes to balance things. And sometimes because we have this legal requirement, and a lot of people just think about district strategic planning and school renewal planning as being a legal requirement. And if you've ever sat on a seesaw with someone who's smaller than you are, or if you've had then you know that you can have a chance of actually tossing that person off. Or if you have been the person who's been the smaller one, you might have been tossed off yourself. And what you want to do with the strategic plan is make sure that you have a good balance between the legal requirements and then the real reason that we should engage in strategic planning. And the real reason we should engage in strategic planning is not just because we have a legal responsibility to make sure we do this by April 30th and that we have all the necessary components, but that we have engaged the stakeholders and we've had conversation with each other about how we can get better. And strategic planning done well affords us the opportunity to do that. So when we think about strategic planning, and we think we have a plan here with some specific action steps that will help us achieve the goals that you as a board have established for us, it reflects not just our legal responsibility, but it reflects our moral and ethical commitment to our stakeholders to do the right thing. And so we would ask your approval tonight of this draft of the strategic plan, of this update, so that we can submit it to the State Department, knowing that as soon as the budgets are done, we're going to have to go back and make revisions.
I move we accept the administration's recommendation and approve the district strategic plan as presented.
Second.
Motion by Wofford, second by,
Doesn't make a difference.
Ramsey. I didn't, Ramsey. Any additional questions about the strategic plan?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Under fiscal responsibility, Dr. Broussard, the last bullet, it said by 2021, reduce the number of purchase orders and accountable payable to no more than 1,302 and 7,366 respectively. I don't know what that means.
Okay, in the plan, there are some specific measures, and I can tell you exactly what those are. In the plan, Ms. Carlin pulled together the actual number of purchase orders we have this year. The number was 1,374. That was our baseline year. Actually, that was before last year, because that was when we had the baseline data. And so the goal is for the purchase orders to go from 1374 to 1360 to 1345, 1331, 1316, and eventually to 1302. And then with regard to the accounts payable checks, during the baseline year, we had 8,474, and the goal is to get down to that number of 7,366. 66, and I don't know exactly how many. That's in some respects related to increasing the number of procurement card transactions we have, and which provides a savings for the district as well. But Ms. Carlin has analyzed that data thoroughly and has come up with these targets based on her analysis of the data over several years.
So efficiency is the key here, trying to reduce the number of POs and paperwork and time on task in other areas would be increased. Is that correct?
That's correct, because not only does it increase their efficiency in the Office of Finance, but if we know that this is a goal, then before we send out that purchase order for something that's really small, we might think about making several purchases at one time and putting it in that purchase order.
You.
Other questions?
Ms. Lee?
Under student achievement, the last bullet point on the second page, it says by 2021, increase the percentage of CATE completers. What does CATE stand for?
I'm sorry, CATE is Career and Technology Education.
Okay, thank you.
And so the students who are in any of our career and technology education programs where they have the opportunity to earn industry credentials, we want to increase that percentage.
Okay, so we're not talking about our 50% of our total student body.
No, ma'am. We're talking about the ones who are in programs for which they may earn an industry credential.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the district strategic plan as presented, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Mr. Jackson. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Brossard. I appreciate that. Well, as always, been very busy throughout the district. And I'd like to report we have some awesome things going on throughout the district. Before I get started, though, we have some very special guests with us in the crowd tonight. I'd like to recognize some of the teacher forum members that are here with us tonight. We've already recognized Mr. Snyder and Miss Blackwood. We also have Michael Silvestri here with us from H.E. Bonner Elementary. If you're here with us, please stand. Miss Cindy Gaskins from St. Stephen Middle. Samantha Vitti from Sedgefield Middle. And Teresa Denholm from Sangaree Elementary. Before I move on, did I miss anyone? Amanda, you can stand up if you want to. Ms. Cromer. Well, we appreciate all the hard work that you do and the awesome work that you do on a day-to-day basis with our students. Definitely appreciate it. And speaking of our students, last week was a very good week. We had an opportunity to celebrate some of our students as well as our Teachers of the Year. Had an opportunity to attend the 19th Annual Turnaround Student Achievement Awards ceremony at Westview Middle School. We celebrated 29 students who made a conscious decision to adopt a positive attitude about education, and in doing so, committed themselves to pursuing the successful futures. Mr. Barrow was at that event with his lovely wife. I definitely enjoy attending that event every year and seeing those students and the commitment that they're making to education and their futures. As I said at the ceremony, it takes a village to raise a child. And what we saw and what we celebrated last week was that village in action. So I look forward to continuing to recognize students for turning around, but also continuing to work with everyone to be that village for our students. The Teacher of the Year, hey Nick, had the opportunity to attend and celebrate 2016-17 Teacher of the Year. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you again. Most of the time when I do this, the folks that we celebrate are gone, so you're here with us. But I'd like to thank you again and acknowledge you again for that outstanding accomplishment. But also this year, this is the first year that our Teacher of the Year has received a car to use. And I'm not sure, you may have driven that car tonight. Did you drive that car tonight? Yeah. Drove that car tonight. It's a 2017 Jeep Cherokee Sport. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, you have to take me for a ride. And excuse me. Also like to acknowledge Mr. Don Smith from Rick Hendrick Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram, the automotive group that also not only sponsored the car for this year, but assured us that that sponsorship will continue in the future. So congratulations, Nick, and we definitely appreciate our partners with Rick Hendrick Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram. CTE Teachers of the Year. In addition to Nick, we've also had some CTE Teachers of the Year. I'd like to acknowledge Cane Bay Middle School's Jessica Donaldson and Goose Creek High School's Tim Bergsteiner for being named the Career and Technical Education Teachers of the Year. The CTE Teachers of the Year are selected by a committee of community partners and educators based on their accomplishments and innovations in teaching and contributions to the CTE community throughout their career and technical student organizations. Student competitive events, promotion of work-based student learning. Again, congratulations to Ms. Donaldson and Mr. Bergsteiner for being selected and their tireless work that they do for their students in CTE. This month is also National Library Month. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the roles that librarians play in this district. They're armed with the print resources and technology. Our librarians serve as the technicians, if you will, as we engage in this battle against illiteracy. They're intellectual visionaries whose talents make them invaluable in this information age. Their knowledge and enthusiasm make libraries the hub of our schools, and we're grateful to have these gifted professionals working with our students on a day-to-day basis. And while I was up here, you have to excuse me really quick, while I was up here, I actually received something that was really good. I'd like to congratulate one of the Timberland High School students, Gabriel Wadford. This is Gabe Wadford. This is one of my former students. Gabe was accepted to 5 of the 8 Ivy League schools, Ivy League colleges and universities. Gabe has been accepted into Harvard University, Yale University, Cornell, Columbia, and Brown. This is an awesome accomplishment. Sometimes you start reading things and they just don't click. I didn't realize that was my Gabe. I had him when I was at St. Stephen Middle. And finally, I'd like to take a moment to thank Mr. Archie Franchini and acknowledge his service that he's provided to Berkeley County School District over the past 11 years. With 44 years in education and his experience as a teacher, as a principal, chief academic officer, deputy superintendent, in many roles that he actually did not sign up for, will truly be missed. Friday will be his last day with us, but all of the hard work that he's done and the progress that he's made for our students will not be forgotten. We appreciate you and the lasting impact that you've made on the lives of countless students throughout your career in education. We appreciate your service, sir. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Everyone has a copy of we're going to move on to the board chair report. Everybody has a copy of the Charleston Regional Business Journal. We're on the front page talking about our Berkeley County students getting the on-the-job construction training from up here at Berkeley Ed. A lot of those pictures have been posted on Facebook, social media, but it's a really great story. and Katie told me who provided a copy of these, and I can't remember, but just wanted everybody to see the opportunity to see our students hard at work. As Greg is here, thank you, Greg Hughes from Contract Construction, for what you've done. Also want to thank all the members who attended Head Start training. We had a quorum, and very good to participate in that, but it's also required of us to carry on Head Start, that we are trained, and we receive that training tonight. Another date that we have coming up is the budget workshop on May 9th at 4:30. That will be in this boardroom, and we will start the budget season. Miss Amy Murray and Miss Katie Orban Tanner, she's going to be Katie Orban forever, I'm sorry, Katie, have been working on community meetings for us. Everyone has an email of this meeting, but I'm going to go through the meetings they've proposed. And they've had some really innovative ideas of how for the board to not expect the community to engage with us, but us to actually go out into the community. So there's a couple of school meetings, and there's a couple of what I would call non-standard meetings. But the first one is at May 1st at 6 p.m. for Timberland High School. One of the tentative dates is May 2nd at 5 at Cane Bay High School before the spring band concert. If anyone is able to attend May 2nd at 5 p.m. at Cane Bay High School, we will be at the spring band concert. If no board member can commit to that date, that will be one of the dates that will be removed. May 2nd at 5:30, Canehoy Elementary STEAM Night. May 2nd at 6 p.m., Stratford High before the spring band concert. May 4th at 4:30 at the Hanahan Farmers Market. And May 4th at 6 p.m. at the Sedgeville Middle School 6th grade orientation. And May 4th at 7 p.m. at the Philip Simmons High PTA meeting in the PSE PSM multipurpose room. On May 8th at 6 p.m., Cross High School Improvement Council meeting. And then on May 11th, we'll be at the Moncks Corner Regional Recreation Complex. Farmers Market will be going on, and then ball games will be going on that night in Moncks Corner. And then another tentative date is May 13th at 9 a.m. That's at Tom Connolly Field, which is the Ladson Sangaree area. Teams play between 9 and 12. They're expecting 12 teams to play. So if anyone who represents that area can attend. So we're looking for 1 to 3 board members per meeting. You don't want to, please don't show up somewhere we don't know you're going, because we can't have a quorum. We will announce them in public, but it should be 1 to 2, 1 to 3 board members, depending on what you can attend. They're going to commit to that Cane Bay and Tom Connolly Field if a board member can commit. So how about see Katie or Amy respond to the email. They sent the Sign Up Genius. I don't know if anybody does Sign Up Genius, but they sent the Sign Up Genius so they can manage how many of us there are so we don't overcommit, get too many people in one place. Hard to get all of our schedules to work together. I personally am going to Timberland High School, and I'm going to the Moncks Corner Regional Complex because my kid is playing that day. But if you have another event that your child is attending, your grandchild is attending, or that you're already planning to attend that you'd like to add to the schedule, they're very flexible with that. But we've got a couple farmers markets and a couple of games where we can be out in the public. They will have Chromebooks, they will have pads so people can take surveys, and the communications team will be there to help support you, so you won't be standing alone with the table. Amy or Katie or both, or Dr. Porter, someone will be there to support you with the Chromebooks, let people take surveys, and hopefully it will be a good way for people to engage and give us some feedback on what we're looking for are the qualities of that the community desires in a superintendent. So that's what we're going to be out and about trying to find out from the community, is what they desire. It's much easier to poll our administrators and our teachers because we can touch them and say, fill in the survey, it's much harder to do that for the community. So hopefully we're going to go places where the community already is, and they will take a couple of minutes to talk to us. So a lot of effort has been put into this, so please pick one or two to attend, and let Katie and Amy know which ones that you plan to attend. I think that is all I had for dates and upcoming events. We'll now move on to agenda item 10, the executive session. Is there a motion?
I make the motion. Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan. The stated reasons for entering into executive session: receipt of legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege relating to matters concerning the financial investigation of the district, forensic auditor, receipt of legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege regarding the $98 million bond issuance, discussion of pending employment matters, discussion of student attendance appeals, discussion of student expulsion appeals. Is there any discussion?
Do we need to list the amount of student attendance or expulsion?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't look. There is one expulsion appeal, and there are 10 student attendance appeals, which equals we will be back there for a little while. All right, hearing no other discussion, all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We're in executive session.